Workshop designed by investors hopes to increase the entrepreneurial capital that exists in South Africa, as well as providing new and upcoming entrepreneurs with support. Samantha Loring asked Professor Boris Urban, who's chair in entrepreneurship at the Wits Business School, about South Africa's entrepreneurial mindset, spirit that seems to be stagnant in this country.
I think entrepreneurs on the whole are a lot more risk averse. However, there's also a core a focus on innovations. In other words, it's not just business as usual. As a result of the upheaval, there's been calls for restructuring capitalism, there's been a call for restructuring the financial markets, and with all that restructuring, there's also a lot of opportunities. So I think entrepreneurs are a lot more opportunistic, but also a lot more risk averse.
The more entrepreneurs a nation has, the more competitive it's set to be.
Absolutely. South Africa, we tend to have low levels of entrepreneurial activity. However, we also tend to have some high quality entrepreneurs. And I've always been an advocate of, it's not the quantity of entrepreneurs that matters in the country, but the quality of entrepreneurs. If you think about some of the innovations that have come through South Africa, we've had some worldwide technological breakthroughs. So we certainly have quality entrepreneurs.
The key has been about high impact entrepreneurs, and I suppose that could be one of the focuses that you have for the workshop you've been running this week at Wits. Can you just elaborate on what the focus is there, and how are you positioning it in a unique way? Because of course we've had many entrepreneurial workshops in the last few years.
Absolutely. I think a lot of entrepreneurs actually suffer from workshop fatigue. But this is unique. We have an eclectic mix of panelists. We've got people like Ellen Ryers from Race Corp. We've got Leah Vangelitis from Chief Investment Financial Officer of Anglo American, and a whole host of other UK investors. And we also got very carefully selected participants who include people that have already established their business, some in the concept development, but the point is they're all high potential, high growth entrepreneurs.
How have you chosen the type of investors that you partnered with?
Well, they've shaped the agenda. It's all going to sort of culminate into elevator pitch on Friday, but these investors are looking for where earned income is paramount. In other words, we're looking for businesses that have multiple revenue streams, we're looking for businesses with good gross margins, we're looking for businesses that basically are exploiting opportunities, not Me Too type of businesses.
Which sectors specifically?
Sectors, it's difficult to sort of focus on one sector. Obviously emerging sectors, tourism, where the barriers to entries are relatively low and entrepreneurs can start up.
When we talk about capital, banks have been the main source of capital. Moving away from the banks because of all the issues that South African banks have had as a result of the crisis and a result of bad loans. Have we seen a growth in angel investing, venture capital in South Africa post the recession?
It's still very small in South Africa. There have been sort of incremental increases, I think more in angel investing rather than a VC market, but certainly there has been a lot more investment, I think, in terms of startups.
How would you rate the progress South Africa's government is making with regards to creating this environment?
As you say, they try to create an enabling environment. Governments can't create entrepreneurs. They can create incentives, they can create the right motivations, but entrepreneurship is an individual act. And I think until we get a situation where there is the correct match in terms of incentives for entrepreneurs to do startups, you're all going to have low levels of entrepreneurial activity.
The incentives to entrepreneurs, I mean, what are those incentives at the moment in South Africa?
Well,
are the incentives strong enough?
Well, I think there's a lot of high regulatory burdens, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of unfavorable sort of circumstances, both in terms of labor, in terms of getting loans. So I think, until we get that regulatory environment more favorable, and even the social norms and the cultural type of environment more favorable, we're going to see sort of stagnant levels.
So where is progress being made in South Africa? Because the IDC is very involved when it comes to entrepreneurship. Of course, that would be more from the finance side of things. But when it comes to this enabling environment, where would you say we have made progress?
I think we've made progress on many fronts. We made progress in terms of education. A large part of entrepreneurship is instilling intentions and aspirations. In other words, people that have studied not to become employers but employees. Not employees but employers. A lot of advancements have been made in terms of incubation centers. A lot of advancements have been made in terms of mentoring. So there's a lot of indirect also effects that are having playing out on entrepreneurship.
What do our emerging market peers, you talk about as having high impact entrepreneurs, which is to our advantage. But when we talk about a country like America, of course, they're known for their entrepreneurs, but that's the developed world. When you talk about Mexico, they're also highly entrepreneurial. What do they get right there where South Africa perhaps goes wrong?
I think there's a culture of entrepreneurship. You know, we've never had a culture of entrepreneurship. We've always been dominated by big business. And I think through our institutional framework and through also social norms, it's going to take decades to actually build up entrepreneurial capital in a society which is lacking that.
Is there too much of a fragmented approach? Because you've got a lot of institutions, a lot of small funders looking at to foster entrepreneurship, but you know, are they working in silos?
I think there's a greater need for coordination. I think South African government has great policies in place. I think the implementation lags behind, and you're quite right. You know, we need to start talking to each other and specific roles for different players.
Before I let you go, what would you say defines a great entrepreneur? If you had to say the three key attributes.
I say perseverance, I would say creativity, and I would say self-belief.
And a great business plan.
Business plans help, but it's not a formula for success.